Today I actually had another subject in mind, which was much lighter, and I really wanted to do it, but I think that I will do it probably the next time, because I have that in mind during, I've had that in mind during a while. You know, when I started my videos, so it's I don't know, 3 years ago, a little more than 3 years ago now, I was very excited because I could paint again, and I was listening to a music that I love and still love, actually, Tok Tok, Marcolis, and I wanted to share that. I wanted to share some joy and to encourage people who stop painting to start again, and I thought that I should share my experience because it could inspire other people. And I was very joyful, and that's what I want for my videos. Actually, I want to show something joyful and inspiring, and so the people who are watching my videos will have something which will maybe pull them from their everyday life. If their everyday life is not joyful, maybe it's a lapse of time when they can enjoy something fun. And I still want to do that, and I hesitated to do this video, the video that I'm doing today, because it's not going to be joyful. And 2017 has been really a very hard year for me, because as soon as the end of December of the last year of 2016, but almost at the end, almost at the beginning of 2017, I lost my father, and then the second wife of my father died, and then my grandmother died, and 4 days ago, I lost my good friend, my old friend, a very old friend that I had, Ron Kane. And you know him because he was DJing for me for the artworks and also for the Small Business Saturday. So it's not my friend David Struther who is playing violin, it's the other one, the one who was playing all these records and who knew so much about music. So he died. He was about my age, and he was too young to die now. I hesitated to do this video because it's not going to be fun. It's going to be a little sad, and I thought that it makes a lot of people dying around me, and I don't want to be this woman on YouTube who is losing everybody around her. But unfortunately, it's what happened to me in 2017, and I cross the finger that nothing more happens this year or the next year, or you know. So I thought maybe I shouldn't do this video because I don't need to put my burden on my viewers. But actually, then I thought that I should still do this video, because besides the fact that Ron Kane passed away, he had an incredible life, and especially an incredible knowledge about music. And he was really like no one else. I've never met someone like him regarding music, I mean. So I'm going to tell you how I met Ron. I precise that he was only a friend for me. He never was my boyfriend. I never had a romantic relationship with him. But he was really a good friend and an old friend. I didn't meet him when I arrived in Los Angeles. Actually, I knew him from before. I met him in 1997 because a friend of mine who lives in Paris, Gillier Prémian, who is a guy who actually met Jim Morrison before Jim Morrison died in Paris. and who spent a few days with him, asked me to bring back a gold record from Los Angeles, because I was going for vacation there, and he had this friend, Ron Kane, who had this gold record of the Doors, and rather than sending it because it was rather heavy and fragile, he asked me if I could bring it back. So I accepted, and I met Ron almost at the end of our vacations. He came to our very sketchy hotel where we were in Santa Monica. Santa Monica is a very nice place, but the hotel where we were was very special. We went to the Lowe's before, which was amazing, but we didn't have enough money to stay at the Lowe's during the whole vacation, so then we went in a hotel which was very cheap, but which was really weird. And that's how I met Ron. He came to bring the record, and he saw us, so my ex-husband, me, and my yes, and my two sons. I had my two sons with me in vacation then, and so he brought the record. He told us, "Oh, it's a pity that you didn't tell me before you were there, because I would have taken you everywhere in Los Angeles to show you stuff." So he was very nice. I remember the first impression I had of him when I saw him for the first time. He made me think of Elton John. I thought he was looking a lot like Elton John, but, well, now I don't think that. Well, I understand why I was thinking that, probably because of the big glasses, and he has a very British look, so yeah. So he took us to the Griffith Observatory to see the sunset. It was wonderful. And the next day or the day after, we were leaving to go back to Paris, and me with this gold record that I brought back to Gilles in Paris. And that's how I met Ron for the first time. It was so 1997. And then it happens that we continued talking because it was the beginning of internet in France, and Ron told me he was sending letters. He's a guy who is passionate about Europe, who was passionate about Europe, and he was so interested in the French music. So at the beginning he was sending us letters, but very quickly he told us that we had to have internet, and so thanks to Ron we got internet, and we were able to talk by email. And actually I was the one who was talking with him, because my ex-husband is younger than me, and he didn't know all the music that Ron was talking about, and I knew, because obviously we were raised at the same period, and so we were listening to the same music, or more or less, but something like that. So that's how I had really a very friendly and musical relationship with Ron, which continued during the years. And also he was amazed, because what was incredible is that when we met him, he knew Peter Kitsch and the Electro Kitsch band. So Peter Kitsch and the Electro Kitsch band was a new band, a new group in France, who had maybe one hit or two, and later another one, but it's not the biggest famous band in France. But he knew them, and he was amazed to realize that my ex-husband was a part of the band, and an important part, because my ex-husband had composed a few of the songs, and chiefly was doing all the arrangements and was playing the keyboard for the band. And when Ron realized that, he was like, wow. And we were like, wow, you American guy living in Long Beach, because actually he doesn't live in Los Angeles. He didn't live in Los Angeles, he lived in Long Beach. We found that incredible that an American guy knew Peter Kitsch and the Electro Kitsch band. So then I continued talking with Ron through emails, and we were talking about music, and he sent me a lot of CDs, copy of CDs, things that he was recommending, like for example the band Love, because he knew that I loved the Doors, and Love is very close to the Doors. I think they had the same record company actually. Cream, and many things that I still have. I kept absolutely everything that Ron sent to me. And we came back to Los Angeles in 2003 and 2004, and of course we saw again Ron. Ron, who in the meantime, I think it was in 1998, he met his girlfriend, and they remained together during a very long time. So in 2003 we met this girlfriend. I'm going to call her Dee, because I don't want to give her name, because she's not the kind of person who likes that we talk about her. So Dee, let's say Dee. So he met her, and they stayed a very long time together. So when I got separated from my ex-husband in 2005-6, it was kind of complicated. Let's say that really in 2006 it was really over. I came to LA. Ron helped me to open a bank account, to do all kind of stuff. He was taking me everywhere. He had a friend who sold me a car, so I could have a car, an affordable car. He asked a friend to print flyers. Actually, it was more postcards than flyers for the opening of my shop. He really did a lot for me, you know, really. And then when there was the artwork, he suggested that he could come and play some music. And it was his idea, it was not mine. And he didn't ask for money for that. He was doing it like a favor for me. And he was working during the day, so it's not like if he had nothing to do, you know. So he was such a sweet guy, such a sweet guy. Then David Schroeder arrived later. One day he came and started playing on Ron's music, and that's how it began, the thing between the violinist and Ron Kane, the DJ. It was not my idea, it just happened, you know, it was kind of magical. But a lot of things happened then, and before I explain the end of his life, I want to say that Ron Kane was incredible, because he had a knowledge about music that I never saw somewhere else. I never saw someone knowing so much and collecting so much. He was going to every little record shop. He knew all the record shops, not only in Los Angeles or Long Beach or even California, all over the world. He was traveling a lot to Japan, so he knew a lot of music, Japanese music, or even music from around Japan, not only Japanese, but he knew a lot about French music, Dutch music, Spanish, Italian, German, Belgian. He even knew French music that I didn't know. He knew more than me. And of course he knew all the English and American musics that you can imagine. his house was full of records, but full to the brim. I mean, full. There were records everywhere, in every room, under the couch, under the bed, everywhere. And now my first thought is, what is going to happen to all these records, which are treasures? Because you can't imagine, he was always searching for something which was very rare, that you couldn't find anywhere. And then I think it was 3 years ago, 4 years ago. Well, first his brother died, and his brother was the one who kind of mentored Ron. So he learned a lot about music from his brother. So I think that when his brother died, so his brother, it was maybe 4 or 5 years ago, it was hard on him. And then his mother died, so that was about 3 years ago. His mother died, and he asked me to help him to sell stuff that she had, because she was collecting a lot of things. And I helped him because he didn't know how to do that, and I do, so I helped him, and I did my best to sell some stuff for him. And then he decided, because his mother died, he could afford to stop working. So he decided to stop working, because anyway he didn't like really his job. So I would say that it was a good idea, as he was hating his job. But in the same time, he had no more reason to wake up in the morning and go somewhere every day. So I'm not sure it was such a good idea, unless he would have done something in music, something which would have excited him. The problem is that, in spite of his incredible knowledge and his passion for music, because that was Ron. Ron was music, you know. In spite of that, I think that he didn't believe in himself enough, because I tried to push him. For example, I was ready to dedicate a part of my shop for him to sell records, because he was selling some sometimes, and he wanted, but he didn't want, and he was not very excited by the idea. I told him maybe you could do YouTube videos talking about music, but same thing, he didn't want really. I think that he had doubts about himself, which is a pity, because he was so above everybody, you can't imagine. And then, so he stopped working, and then I think the girlfriend didn't like that so much, because the girlfriend was still working, and they didn't have the same life anymore. So they broke up after 17 years together, and that has been very hard on him, because he didn't know how to function without her. And I was there I tried to help him, but it's hard, because he was living in Long Beach. So Long Beach is beside Los Angeles, but it's still it's far. So it's not easy. We can't go every day and say hello like that. It's not possible, especially with my car, which is not very safe on road. And anyway, so he didn't have a lot of reason to come to Los Angeles, except my artworks, or maybe if there was an exhibition he wanted to see. But so he started feeling very isolated there. And I saw him being more and more depressed, and it's terrible to watch, because I went through that. But I know how hard it is for people around to help. So he didn't commit suicide, or he didn't die because of depression. And I'm not saying he was in a depression. He was just depressed, a little depressed. But he had a heart condition. So first they put him a pacemaker, which he couldn't live normally with it. It was not working well. I don't know, then I didn't follow really well, because every day there was something new. So one day he had to go in emergency to the hospital, then coming back at home, then going back to the hospital, then falling at the doctor's office. Then I don't know what happened. Actually, I don't understand how it could go so fast. Actually, it went fast, and in the same time it seemed so long to see him suffering like that because of his heart. And in the same time, probably because his heart was not functioning normally, he didn't seem to have all his head also. I talked to him on phone several times, but he was suffering, and his mind was already somewhere else. He was recognizing me, he was able to talk, but Ron has never been someone who talks a lot anyway, so he didn't have a lot. I can say that he didn't have a lot of conversation, because the only conversation he had was music. Once I went to eat dinner in a restaurant. It was not a date, it was just a dinner between friends, and he didn't have much to say, so the only way to make him talk, it was to talk about music. And that's what I did. I started talking about music, and he couldn't stop, because it was the only thing which really interested him. So, and I didn't mind, because I love music too, and I wanted to learn as much as I could with him, because he was really, really incredible. He released a record that I like a lot. It's this. It's written in Japanese because it has been released in Japan only, but I think that the name is the Decays. And actually, I don't know how many. Oh, it was 2014. Yes, my son Igor and my ex-husband and my son played on it. So probably my ex-husband played on it, but through internet. And my son was at the recording there and played. And my son had a wonderful time with Ron, because Ron was treating my son like an adult, like if it was another musician there. Well, my son was 2014, was already an adult, but much younger than Ron. But he was treating my son like equal, and I can't believe how such a talent, such a knowledge, such a passion for music. Someone, if I had to compare Ron to someone, I would compare him probably to Mark Hollis' brother, Ed Hollis, that I never knew, never met. But according to all what I read about him, it seems first to be the same, or almost the same generation, and also maybe Ed Hollis is a little older than Ron, but probably Ed Hollis had the same age as Ron's brother. So it's strange, because it's really like, they probably love the same music, and listen to the same things. So I wanted to talk about Ron Kane because he didn't believe in himself enough, according to me, but I believed in him a lot. Ron was passionate also about design, modern design, very like 60s, you know, the color, the very psychedelic colors and things like that. And he was always wearing a t-shirt which was the same color as his socks. That was very typical of Ron. And when I remember him like that. Okay, so my camera didn't have some battery power anymore. I'm going to end my video here. I really wanted to talk about Ron. I don't know where. Yes, I'm supposed to look at here. It's my iPhone, actually. I wanted to talk about Ron because I think that he deserved to be talked about. He had an incredible life, musically related, I would say. He didn't do enough in this field, and it's a pity because he had a knowledge that I never saw somewhere else. So I'm sorry for this, again, sad video. You are going to think that I'm only talking about people disappearing, but I think that it concerns you too, because if you watch all my videos, you will see that there was a lot of Ron Kane on my videos, and it's someone that you knew if you are watching all my videos, and so I think that you should know about that. And so we won't see Ronald Kane anymore for my artworks, and I'm not going to search for Gigi, or that was really special to him, and I want it to stay that way. Okay, next time I will talk to you about something which is also personal, but quite different and hopefully more joyful. And thank you for watching. I see you very soon. Bye-bye. So here is Ron Kane. So Ron, what are you going to play tonight?
Well, it's December, so we're having a Christmas show tonight. Although right now it's not Christmas music, it will be Christmas music later.
Okay, so when and how did you start to collect music records?
My brother is who interested me in records.
Okay.
I grew up in the 1960s.
Yeah.
So England was always the most interesting place because of the Beatles, the Avengers, Patrick McGowan.
Oh yeah, I love that.
You know, this is what we grow up with.
Yeah. Oh yeah, exactly. Yeah.
And so my brother was who first showed me British records.
Yeah.
So until I moved to England in 1990.
Yeah.
I could only buy British records when I could find them. But I like all kinds of music. For the last 20 years I've been going to Japan, and I like Japan very much also.
And you know a lot of things about French music too.
I know a little bit about French music. I could know a lot more about French music. I didn't get to meet Serge Gainsbourg.
No, I didn't either. I regret that.
My ex-wife didn't want to go, so I didn't get to meet him.
Oh, yeah.
But, you know, I like people like Charlie Couture from Nancy.
Of course.
And, let's see. I don't know,
Oh, it's a Steely Dan, that? No, it's what?
Donald Fagen.
Oh, yeah, of course. I've been listening a lot to Tok Tok lately. What do you think of Tok Tok?
Wonderful.
Yeah.
I mean, from the first songs I ever heard of Tok Tok, Life's What You Make It had a great video.
Yeah.
And so we were listening.
Yeah.
You know, ever since.
Yeah.
So I've been sooner than you because I listened to them since from the beginning, actually.
Did you like the DVD?
Oh, wonderful, wonderful.
Good.
Wonderful, yes. Thank you for that.
Yeah,
Okay, let's start the music.
Okay, here we are.
Have a